Good morning, everybody. Welcome to my channel. This is Michelle with Creative Operation and Country Craft Creations. Today, I'm excited to be here. We are doing our Country Craft Creations Remember the Time calendar hop. And all of our designers have the same paper collection, and we have all come up with different ideas. So you're sure to find something that's going to completely be the perfect project for you using this paper. This is, again, the Remember the Time, and it is a calendar collection by Country Craft Creations, exclusively through Country Craft Creations, and it has just gorgeous images. I have used this a couple times, so if you follow my channel, I have used this for the Craftology boxes for August and October, and I made a 2-volume set of albums, a 2-volume album set that you could use next year and document all of your exciting adventures during the year, and hopefully with everything that's been going on, maybe next year will be better and we'll have even more adventures to document. So I have these 2 volumes. So I've used this paper before. This is an awesome collection. It's beautiful. It's gorgeous. The colors are amazing, and I think you're going to love this. So a couple things I will let you know right off the bat is that this is a YouTube hop with the designers of Country Craft Creations. We are all creating something, and there is a schedule in the description so you can see who is scheduled to air when. And we are having a contest again. So the rules of the contest are pretty simple. You need to be 18 years or older. You need to be in the United States. And pretty much all you need to do is leave 1 comment per video. And out of all of the qualifying submissions of comments in all of the designer videos, there will be a random drawing for some awesome prizes from Country Craft Creations. So all of the information is down below. So if you read through the description in this video, you will get all the extra information, but just be aware that there is a contest and there are going to be some great prize giveaways. So please don't forget to like and subscribe to all of our channels, and keep yourself informed of when we have tutorials. And yeah, let's get started with my tutorial. So what I decided to come up with, I've already done some albums with this with the Craftology boxes for August and October. If you're not familiar with that, go to countrycraftcreations.com and check out the Craftology box. And it's a really awesome bi-monthly subscription that you can get. And I was fortunate enough to be able to do the last 2, doing a 2-volume set, with this collection. So now with the calendar hop, what I wanted to do is something, it's a little more simple, but it will be able to be used and displayed year round. So let's look at what I made. So what I ended up making was a perpetual calendar, and I didn't want to do like a desk perpetual calendar. I wanted to do something that could hang, like in your kitchen or your office, something that you could look at every single day. And I did want it to be kind of a perpetual calendar, but I also wanted it to be something where you could do a birthday calendar. So in the collection, you have some amazing cut aparts. Let me grab another one just to show you. So this is January's cut apart sheet, and it is absolutely amazing. So you get 2 of these in both of, in the collection when you buy it. There is a calendar page here. You have all these great border cut aparts. You have tags. You have titles, you have really cute medallions, you have a little journaling card. There's all kinds of stuff on here. So every month has 2 of these sheets that you can work with. So what I did was I tried to incorporate as many of these as I could in my project. So I decided that what I wanted to do was use the calendar pages as like a birthday calendar. So you wouldn't put the dates in for the year on their respective days, but like start with Sunday and start with 1 and go through, and then you could add the birthdays, throughout the year. And then you can just reuse it, which is the coolest thing ever. So I decided to do that, and they're held with a clip, and they're double-sided so that you can just turn them and flip them over, and then you could reuse those year after year. I do have a section here that has the day of the week, the month, and again, I use that label from the cut apart sheet, and then the number of the day, so you can just go ahead and switch that out as you wanted to. So then I kind of had some space. I wanted to utilize a 12 by 12 piece of chipboard with this and make it kind of a big project. So I decided to put another little clip here so you could put a picture, excuse me, a photograph of something going on during that month or something that happened during that month, your grandkids, whatever. So this is just kind of like a placeholder piece of cardstock here, just to show you that that's where the photo would go. And then down here, I did a little decoration. So I took some of the cut aparts and kind of clustered them together and made an embellishment out of it. So I clustered them and then I put them on a piece of leftover cardstock, fussy cut it out, and then you have this really cute little embellishment that you can put on there. So this is the calendar like for November. On the back of this is storage pockets, and the storage pockets are going to hold the rest of the cluster embellishments that I created. So then you can switch them out every month and have a place to store them on the back. It's nice and flat, so you can hang it on your fridge, on your wall. And the other thing that I love about this paper collection, let me show you this again. There are beautiful, beautiful solid colors throughout. So no matter what the decor is in your house, in your office, in your kitchen, whatever you wanted to do, you can pick a couple of the background papers and match your decor. So when I designed this, I made it so that it would match my kitchen. My kitchen is green. So I thought that the papers here were absolutely stunning for that. And I got them out of the April month set. So I only needed 2 of those solid color papers, and you could use anything you wanted. You need 1 sheet each of the cut aparts. And then let's talk about the numbers and this. So I did this on my silhouette. And my silhouette, the font that I did it with, and we'll go through this again. Where is my list? So I did it with the font, and I'm not even going to be able to pronounce it, Troemys. I think is what it's called, Troemys, and I did it at 100 point. We'll talk about this again. On the Cricut, Nursery Rhymes is pretty similar to this. So on this one, what I did was I just designed the names and the numbers and then just cut them out, and I used the negative on it. So I did a shadow around it, and then I just used the negative. Okay, so I didn't use the actual cut out letters and numbers, and it worked out really well on the dark cardstock. You could also, and what I'm going to show you today is print them out on whatever you want, and then you know, use that instead. So if you don't have a Cricut or Silhouette, don't have a way to do that, you can always print them out. If you're a stamper, you can stamp them and use those as your letters and numbers. So because of copyright issues, I cannot provide files for that, but I can give you the names so you can make them for yourself. So I hope that makes sense. So this is the project. You're going to need a couple other things. I got a couple little bulldog clips, and you'll need some brads to go with those, and then a couple eyelets, and you will need some seam binding for hanging. And it's otherwise pretty simple. I did use a little bit of lace to kind of decorate it. So let's go ahead and get started, and let me show you how to cover a 12 by 12 piece of cardstock. So we're going to work on the base here real quick. And on the base, you're going to need a piece of chipboard that's 12 by 12. I did use some cardstock pieces to cover the edges. Now you will need 4 pieces that are 2 by 2, and you will need 4 pieces that are 2 by 12. And then on the front of the base, we are going to put down our pattern paper. Now on this project, I picked blue, and this came out of the January collection. And I did back it with some Pearl Sheen Natural, or excuse me, no, I did use I use gold, I'm sorry, Pearl Sheen Gold. And I did cut it down to 11 7/8 by 11 7/8. And then the pattern paper here is 11 5/8 by 11 5/8. So that will cover the front of the cardstock. So let me show you, or chipboard, good gravy. Let me show you how we wrap the edges. So this is a 12 by 12 piece. Now, if you don't want to go through this hassle of wrapping the edges, I wanted to, because I really like the finished look of the chipboard being wrapped. You do not have to if you don't want to. If you want to just simply take a piece of cardstock and then just glue it over the top and then ink the edges, that would work completely as well. So there's a couple different options for you, but I'm going to show you how I wrapped the edges around it so that it would all work out really nice. So you have your 4 pieces that are 12 by 2, and then you have your pieces that are 2 by 2. And I went ahead, and if you can see this, I did do a pencil line down the middle at 1 inch to make kind of a grid. And what we're going to do is we're going to glue one corner to the corner of the cardstock, and that's how we're going to expand the cardstock around so that we can wrap it. So I'm just going to just take my glue, and then I'm going to take my chipboard and I'm just going to line it up. And it doesn't have to be super perfect. It's going to wrap around the edges, but it'll give you a good idea. And then we're just going to glue that down. Okay, so right on the corner there. And you're going to do that on all 4 corners. And then what we're going to do is add the strips to the sides. And then that will create the border that we need to wrap our chipboard. So pretty easy method of doing this, and then that way you can utilize a 12 by 12 sheet of paper. So, you know, depending on if you ever do any projects that you need to kind of wrap a 12 by 12 piece of chipboard, this is kind of a quick and easy method of doing it. I like the look better when the corners or when the edges are wrapped, and that's just my thing. So you definitely don't have to do that. So then I'm just going to add some glue down the side here. And I'm going to add it just right to the corners there. And then we're just going to lay this piece down. This is 2 by 12. And this is just going to cover the edges. All right, just like that. And again, it doesn't have to be super perfect and straight because it's going to wrap around anyway. So not a big deal if it's a little bit crooked. Okay, so I'm just going to do that on all 4 corners. And I'm just lining up my cardstock here. Okay. So I have the borders all the way around, and so this is what it looks like on the front. So you have the 1 inch border that we're all pretty used to as far as, you know, wrapping chipboard. So then I'm just going to wrap it just the way that I normally do when I'm making an album. So the first thing I usually do is just kind of, now the corners will be a little, you know, thick, and that's okay. It's still going to work. Most of it's going to get cut off anyway. So I'm just going to kind of do that, and then I'm going to grab my bone folder here, and I'm just going to run the edge down by the cardstock and the chipboard where they meet. Okay, and just kind of try and train the paper. All right, this will be covered up on the front and the back, so don't worry about that. Okay, so just like that, and then flip it over, and then we're going to go ahead and just do our score tape routine like we would always do for, you know, an album cover. So this is a really cool way of doing it, and I really, you know, I thought it worked really well. So what this does is it kind of opens up, you know, other opportunities to use larger, you know, pieces of chipboard. If you wanted to make a 12 by 12 album, you could totally do it this way and still use the lay flat method. If you're not familiar with the lay flat method, I do have a video in my YouTube channels, and I can try and leave a link on that if I can remember to do it. And anyway, it's a lay flat album cover method, and I do have a tutorial on that. But this way you could totally use a 12 by 12 piece of chipboard and make a 12 by 12 album if you wanted to. So totally doable. All right, scissors. Now what we're going to do is I'm just going to cut across, and I'm going to leave about 1/8 of an inch between the edge of the cardstock and the corner of my chipboard, okay? Because that's going to help wrap the corners. I'm a little fussy about making sure my corners are covered as well. So that's just kind of my MO. That's how I do it. All right. So we have that, and then basically it's just wrapping this thing just like we would do for the cover. All right. So taking off all of this, and then I'm going to grab some glue. I'm going to go down the edge, and I like to do this so that it helps stick, but it also kind of helps wet the paper a little bit and helps it form. Now on this one, because the corners are kind of thick and everything, I'm going to go ahead, and because it's so long, I'm just going to go ahead and run glue down there too. I normally don't do that, but this time I'm going to. And then I'm going to just fold it over and stick it down. Just like so. Make sure I get a good stick. The corners are a little, you know, it has a little extra layer, so you might have to, you know, run your bone folder a little bit. That's okay. So then I'm going to do the opposite side, because I'm all about symmetry as well. So, and the other reason I decided to do glue is because the corners have a little bit of extra, you know, cardstock. So just make sure that everything sticks well. I don't want this thing falling apart, that's for sure. All right. Okay, so then I use my fingernails because I just always use my fingernails, but I'm gonna just push those corners in around the cardstock. Now you, or the chipboard, excuse me. You can use a bone folder if you want to, but I just find that I get a better, you know, wrap if I do it with my fingernails. I don't know, I probably shouldn't do that, but oh, I do. My fingernails are a tool. They are a tool, so they do definitely work in a pinch. All right, so now you can see how those corners are nice and neat and wrapped. Okay, so I'm just gonna make sure that everything's nice and flat, like so. Then we're going to do the other side, and then this will be wrapped. All right. I think this is probably the hardest part of this whole project here. All right. Okay. Okay, now the other thing that I like to do is after I do this, I just run my bone folder across the edges just to kind of square things up. The chipboard does have, you know, a squared edge on it, so I just kind of like to do that. All right, So your chipboard now should look just like that. Okay, so then the next thing we're going to do is we're just going to take this piece that we've already created. Okay, so again, this is the Pearl Sheen gold, and then it is a piece of pattern paper, and the base cardstock, the matted cardstock, is 11 by 7/8 by 11 and 7/8, and then the pattern paper is 11 and 5/8 by 11 and 5/8. So then we're just going to simply glue that on. I have been using the Pearl Sheen cardstock a lot lately. I love the glimmer that it gives. It is super pretty. It is super shiny. The colors, and actually this isn't gold. I think this one's the natural. I think I wrote it down wrong. That's okay, but it's still pretty. Still works really well. All right, so then I'm just going to take this piece and I'm going to lay this down over the top, and should have a nice little border. Maybe a little bit more. There we go. Okay. Okay. Now the front of our piece is done. Okay, so that's done. Now, the next thing that we're going to do is we're going to make our pocket assembly that goes on the front. So when I'm talking about this pocket assembly, what I'm talking about is this piece here that's going to hold all of our elements. So let me put this to the side here real quick. Put this to the side real quick. And grab your scoreboard. We're going to need that. And then your favorite scoring tool. And here is what we're going to do. So I have the pieces already cut out and ready to go. So you're going to need cardstock. You're going to need a piece that is 11 by 2.5, a piece that's 11 by 3 3/4, and a piece that's 11 by 5 3/4. The pattern paper, you will need one piece, and I used the same paper for this that I did for the back of it. So I wanted the kind of continuity of it. So you will need two pieces of that particular paper, whatever paper you decide to use. So you'll need one piece that's 5 1/8 by 1 7/8, 5 1/8 by 3 1/8, and then another piece that's 5 1/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, and you're going to take all of these pieces, and I've got a couple of them already done, but you're going to take them and you're going to score them all the same way. So you're going to put them in your scoreboard with the 11 inch at the top, and you're going to score at 1/2 and at 5 3/4. All right, turn it, and then we're going to score at 1/2. Okay, so that basically is going to make the pocket. What we're going to do is we're going to miter the corners, and we're going to cut this top piece out. So I'm just going to cut along the score like so. I'm going to do this kind of sharply, and that way it will get rid of a lot of the bulk, and then we're done. So we have all of our three pieces. Let me get this out of the way. So we have our three pieces, and then basically we're going to put them together all the same way. So we're going to fold and burnish all of our lines. And then the difference when we're making this pocket is that we're actually going to fold and adhere the tabs on the back. So that way there's no impedance inside the pocket when you're placing and replacing all of your things. So we're going to make sure that our scores, our tabs go on the outside, okay? And then just simply glue that down. I'll put some glue on this tab here. And we're gluing this to the back of the pocket. Okay, then you can turn it over. If you need to, you might need to trim a little bit off just to even out the top. And sometimes, yeah, it works out. There we go. So we have it nice and flat. And then you take your pattern paper and then we'll just glue it on the front. All right. So that's our first little pocket done. So we're just going to do the same thing. We're going to fold, burnish. The tabs are going to go on the outside of our pocket. Okay, so we're going to fold that to the inside. And then we're going to make sure our tabs fold over nicely. Glue, trim, and put the pattern paper on. All right, so I'm going to finish up these two and then I'll be back. And then I'll show you how to put the pockets together because it will be a little bit different than usual. I have finished making the pockets and covered them with my pattern paper. I did fail to mention that I did ink all of my papers. So I used some vintage photo, which is my favorite kind of go-to ink, and it works beautifully with this paper. And I don't know if you noticed this or not, but this pocket I cut wrong. The correct measurements are here. I just cut it wrong, so I had to recut that. But all that being said, my pockets are made. So you need the piece of cardstock that is 11 by 2.5, 11 by 3 1/4, and then 11 by 5 3/4, and then your pattern papers, 5 1/8 by 1 7/8. Okay, so 5 1/8 by 1 7/8, 5 1/8 by 3 1/8, and 5 1/8 by 5 1/8. Okay, so then when you glue these together, now this is the reason why. There's a couple things. So a lot of times when I do pockets, I put the paper inside the pocket that cover the tabs, but we have the tabs on the outside. I want a really nice smooth pocket for when you're putting in and out the cards. And then I covered the pattern or the pockets. The way we're going to glue them together, we're going to leave kind of, it's almost going to be like an accordion kind of pocket. So I want to have a little bit of wiggle room for my pockets. So I wanted to make sure that if you look at it sideways, you would see that the pockets are covered. So that is the reason why I did it this way. So when you glue these down, leave about 1 inch on either side that you don't put glue. So we're just going to put glue like right down the middle. Leave some leeway on the side. Don't put glue all the way to the edge. So I left about 1 inch and it worked pretty darn good. So I'm just going to do that, and then I'm going to make sure that, you know, my pockets are all lined top to bottom, and then I'm just going to glue those down. And that's going to give us a little bit of a, you know, an accordion kind of thing, and it's going to help with putting things in. Okay, so again, we're going to do the same thing. So leave, you know, roughly 1 inch. You don't have to get too crazy with the measurements, but just glue down the middle. And then we're going to lay that down, and I'm just going to square it up on my table. And this is how our pockets are going to look. So in this bottom pocket, the numbers of our days will go, and then we'll have the month cards here, and then we'll have the day of the week cards in the top pocket. Okay, so that's going to be the holder. And then the other thing that I did was I took a piece of lace, and this is from Country Craft Creations as well. And if I could find what I did with my score tape. So that's not the one I want. I want my 1/8 inch score tape. Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put a little bit of score tape just at the top edge of my pocket. And then I'm going to lay my lace on top. So I'm going to just do it right at the edge of the paper. You could use glue as well if you want. Now, I'm not going to wrap this too tight because I still want some wiggle room in my pocket. So I'm just going to real loosely kind of wrap it. You see how the pockets kind of on their own kind of puff out. So I'm just going to just wrap it just a little loose on the back. Just going to add a little bit more score tape. And then this whole thing will get glued to the back, or, you know, to our base. So I'm just going to kind of let my pockets open just a little bit. Don't pull it too tight. Okay. Just like so. All right. So that'll give a little bit more wiggle room as well. Okay. And then add a pretty little lace edge. All right. I'm going to trim off a little excess, and then this will be glued down. We're going to leave this for just a second. All right. So like that. So that's our front pocket assembly. So that part's done. Now what we're going to do is punch some holes and set our clips. So now what we need to do is we need to punch our holes and set our brads through our clips. Now, I want to do this now because when you turn this over, I don't want the tines to the brads to be sticking out. We're going to do this, and then we're going to cover with some cardstock. Okay, so that's why the back is not covered yet. The eyelets obviously have to be done last because you want the holes through there. So we're going to go ahead and do this right now and measure up about 2 1/4 inches from the bottom of your chipboard and about a 1/2 inch in, and that's where we're going to put a pencil mark, and set our clip and our brad. And we're going to do it 2 1/4 inches down and about a 1/2 inch in from the top, and set the clip for that brad. Okay, so we'll do those two first. And let's see, I guess it doesn't really matter which way it is. So I'm just going to use my ruler and about 2 1/4 inches up and a 1/2 inch in, and I'm going to put a pencil mark. Okay, and then this one here, we're going to do 2 1/4 inches down from the top edge and a 1/2 inch in. 2 1/4 and a 1/2 inch right about there. Okay, and then grab your cropadile. And I'm just going to punch that hole, and I'm going to punch the hole. Okay, so our holes are punched. Grab one of your bulldog clips and grab one of your brads and go ahead and stick that through. Then what I'm going to do is put a little bit of adhesive on the bottom of that clip, and then that way it will help stabilize the clip on the board and keep it nice and straight. And it does dry fairly quickly because glitter glue, excuse me, does dry fairly quickly. So while we work on some other things, that will help adhere that down. Okay, so then the clip won't move around. So we're going to do that on both sides. Okay, so put the brad through the hole. Oops, glue. And I had these cute little brads that look like nails and screws, and so I'm using those, but you can use anything you want. You can use any kind of clip you want. Okay, so the glue is on there, the brads are through, everything's great. So now this top one we need to set here, and this one is 3 1/4 inches in from the edge and a 1/2 inch down. Okay, so I'm going to turn this so it's 3 1/4 inches in and a 1/2 inch down, So 1, 2, 3 1/4, ½ inch down from the edge of our chipboard. Pencil, make my mark. So 3 1/4 inches in and a ½ inch down. So this is going to be the one that holds the calendar. Okay, this one here. We're going to do the same process. All right, grab our third bulldog clip and our third brad, our art glitter glue on the bottom of that. And this art glitter glue, I'll tell you what, it is amazing for setting metals and things like that. So I've used them on metal corners, on photo albums, I've used them on charms, all kinds of stuff, and it works really, really super well. All right, so there is the clips. We can go ahead and put our pocket assembly on here, and our pocket assembly is, I did it a ½ inch from about 5/8 inch up and 5/8 inch in. Okay, so right about there, we're going to glue that down. Okay, so again, I'm only going to glue, I'm not going to glue the entire thing. I'm just going to put some glue in the middle, catching some of that ribbon so that it helps secure it. Okay, so all right, so I put it in about 5/8 inches up from the chipboard edge and 5/8 inch in. Okay, and that is where that is going to get glued down. Okay, so we still have kind of our give space, so it accordions a little bit. We've got room for our pockets to kind of wiggle. All right, so now we're done with this piece. We're going to set this aside. Now, let's work on our back and our pockets here. So we're going to have a couple pieces. So you'll need one 11 by 7/8 by 11 7/8 piece of cardstock. So this is going to cover the back, and I did cut it, so I'm making sure because it's pretty big. So we have one piece that's 11 7/8 by 11 7/8, and then we're going to have 3 pieces that are 3 by 11. And then you will need 3 pieces of pattern paper that are 2 7/8 by 10 7/8. Okay, so again, you'll need one cardstock piece that's 11 7/8 by 11 7/8, a piece, 3 pieces of cardstock that are 3 by 11, and then 3 pieces of pattern paper that are 2 7/8 by 10 7/8. And let's put this here. So what we're going to do is we're going to create pockets, and they're just going to be glued on. So we have our pattern paper, we have our chipboard. We're going to use our envelope punch here, and we're going to create those pocket pieces. So I'm going to show you how to do that here. We're going to take, let's see, that's it. Okay, I had to look at my notes real quick because I want to make sure that I don't mess you up. So we're going to take our cardstock piece, we're going to put it on our board. I use the envelope punch board. Now, you don't have to do this if you don't want to. I just thought it was pretty, so I wanted to do it. Lined it up at 2 inches and punched, and then flip it over, line it up at 2 inches, and then punch. And then you're going to take your pattern paper, and the pattern paper is going to be lined up at 1 7/8. Punch, 1 7/8, punch. Okay, and that's all you need that for. Then we're going to take our sharp tool of choice and our straight edge, and I'm going to just cut this piece out. So I like to just do that. Just be careful you don't go through, and then cut that piece out and you'll have that nice edge. So we'll do that with our cardstock. You're just going to make 3 of these. They're all the same size. Okay. And then I'm going to grab my ink. I'm going to ink my edges. Okay, then I'm going to glue this down. Now, if you wanted to get really super crafty and creative, you could do one of these for every single month. And then you could decorate and use the pattern papers and then just switch these out and just make 12, you know, bases. That would be really super cool. I thought about that too. But this way, with the pattern papers that they have in this package, there's so many beautiful colors that you are sure to find something that will match whatever room you're making it for. All right, so I have my 3 pockets. Now my 3 pockets are basically going to get glued onto this piece of paper. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to center them, and I glue them about a 1/2 inch up from the bottom, centered. So I'm just going to take some glue. Just on the edges, because we're just making like tuck pockets. And then, let's see, I'm going to get rid of this because it's bugging me. So our centering ruler here, and then I need a 1/2 inch up too. It's going to be a 1/2 inch in. Okay, so that's what we're going to do. Ay, guys, bear with me. Okay, so 1/2 inch up, 1/2 inch in, and we're going to set this down, and voila. And actually, I did that goofy. Okay, so once you got the first one laid down, then we're just going to go 1/2 inch above that pocket and so on. So I'm going to do that, and I will be right back. So I have the pockets laid down, they're glued down. So these are going to be the tuck pockets that you're going to store your little cluster embellishments that we made. And I'm going to show you all of those in just a little bit. So this is ready to go. So we're going to let this dry a little bit. Make sure our board's dry a little bit more before we continue on. Let's talk about the calendars. So the calendars, you will need 6 pieces of cardstock that are 5 by 7. Now I want to show you how to cut your cardstock so that you can actually get 4 out of each piece of paper. So if you cut a 7-inch piece and then cut them in 5, you're only going to get 3 out of one piece of paper. But there is a way to cut these so that you can get 4 5 by 7s out of one piece of paper. So I'm going to show you how to do that. So you're going to need a cutter like this one that has a ruler here, but also a ruler on the actual cutting mechanism itself. So you're going to put this in. We want these 5 by 7s. So you're going to put it where it's at 5, and then you're going to cut down only to the 7-inch mark. Okay. So you got to be very careful and look and make sure you get right to the 7. Then you're going to stop. Lift this up. You should have a cut. So this should be 5 inches, and then it should be cut down 7. So we're going to turn it. So the cut's at the bottom. You're going to line it up at 5 again. And then we're going to do it again. So we're going to cut down to that mark, which should be 7 inches. That's going to be your first 5x7 cut. So then open this up, take this and turn it again. Put it at the 5, and then this time you can just cut straight up. Here's your other 5x7. Turn it again. Cut down, 5x7. Okay, and then all you have left is this little bitty square that's left over. So this is a great option to get 4 of these out of one piece of cardstock instead of just 3. So that's kind of a cute little trick. If you missed it, please rewind and see it again. So you do need 6 of these at 5x7, and then what I did was I rounded all the corners, okay? And then let me show you with the calendars here. I'm going to take this off. Okay, so right now we have November, and then December will be on the back. So this is sized to fit this cutout perfectly. So you just have to cut it out, round the corners, and ink the edges, and then you can put them on your cardstock, and they're ready to go. So I have 6 cards for 12 months, so January, February, March, April, and so on, okay? So then you can just separate, or, switch these out as you need to, and you only need 6 pieces of cardstock to do that. So that's going to be the January cutouts. So then the other idea that I had is if you didn't want to do a birthday calendar, if you wanted to save these and do something else, you totally could. I took a notepad that I had, and it was a 5x8, and I cut 1 inch off the bottom and I rounded the corners, and then I used a little scrap of the matching paper that I'm using. And then you could also make this into a notepad. So here's an option for you if you wanted to do that. So you could totally have your perpetual calendar, and then you could have a notepad in your office or your kitchen or whatever, do your shopping list, whatever. So that was another option. So again, this was a 5x8 that I took 1 inch off, because this space here is 5x7 for, the calendar. I hope that makes sense. So anyway, that's what I did. So that's another option for you to do. So that's how I made the calendar cards, but you will need 6 pieces of cardstock if you're going to use the calendar cutouts that are 5x7. Just round the corners, and then when you cut these out, ink them, round the corners, you're good to go. So there's that right there. So let's see what else. This here is again the photo mat kind of placeholder. I cut it at 4.5 by 3.5, so you could put a goodly sized picture in here, and you could switch that out for every month as well. Let's real quick talk about the clusters. I'm going to put these to the side. So the clusters are really super cute. I took different cutouts, whatever I thought looked good, laid them out, arranged them how I liked them, glued them down, and then I took that cluster and I glued it on a piece of cardstock. So this is one solid piece of cardstock, and then I fussy cut around it. And I made one for every month. So let me show you which ones I did. Take them all out. And this makes a great storage place too, so then you can totally, switch them out for every holiday. All right, so January here. This piece was from one of the medallions. I fussy cut that out and just added to it, so I just thought that was super cute. And again, just made the cluster with the different cut aparts and then put it on a piece of cardstock and then fussy cut it out. So I used my scraps up for this. There's February, so I'm just going to lay these out so you can kind of see what I did. I'm not going to show you how to do it on this tutorial. Let's see, need more room. Okay, and then we have, so November's is on the calendar, but then we have these. So that's what I did to create the little decorative element for down here. Now, if you don't want to do that, you can totally put another photo frame here as well. Let me get in camera for you. So you don't have to do this, but I thought it was a really pretty decorative element that added a little bit more to the calendar and kind of dressed it up a little bit. So for every month, you can do that. And let's just go ahead, just out of, just for fun, since January's there, and then I can show you kind of what it looks like. And then I'll show you, you know, the papers are just, they go together so well that pretty much any color you pick is gonna work just beautifully. Okay, so I just love this. Okay, so those are my clusters. That's what I did there. Now let's talk about, let's see, we talked about the calendar. We're going to talk about the cards for the days of the week, the month cards, and then the number cards. So for the days of the week cards, you will need 2 that are 5 by 7. So if you have 2 pieces of 12 by 12 cardstock and cut those 2 pieces into, you know, your 5 by 7s, you're going to be good to go with that, because you need 8 of them. You need 6 for the month cards, and you need 2 for the days of the week cards. And then for the month cards for this, so those are the days of the week card. For the month cards, which are these guys right here. So this is one of the cut aparts that come in the kit. I cut every single one of them out and then just was able to put 4 on each card. Okay, so you will need 3 of these cards that are 5 by 5 1/4. Okay, and then I just cut this out, inked the edges, and then put it at the top. So January, February. Okay, then when you turn it over, you have March and April. Okay, and then for the number cards, you need 4 pieces that are 2 1/2 by 3 1/8. And then you have all the numbers. Now, I've made a chart to show you how to do this, and I will find it here. So, you can freeze this, screenshot it, print it out if you want, but this is how this should look. So the calendar name cards, so these are the ones that are the 5 by 5 1/4. So when you put them on, so like right here, this is the front, this is the back. So the front, January, February, and you make sure it's upside down, because when you turn the card, you want the orientation correctly. So you do want them proper. So January, February, and then March and April on the back. May, June, July, August, September, October, November, December. Okay, I hope that makes sense. So like May and June right here, May, and when you take the card out and flip it over for June, that's the orientation that you want. So the name cards, these are the 5 by 7s. So you want, do it the proper orientation. So front and back, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. So Sunday, Monday, and then you flip it over Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Okay, Thursday, Friday, Sunday, blank, 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 because we already have a Sunday. Okay. Getting tongue-tied. So on this one, what I did was I printed this out and just cut it out and then backed it on a piece of the leftover pattern paper that I used that coordinate with the backing that I did. So if we grab our board, okay, right here, these are the ones that I made. I just printed them out, and these will go just like that. And then let's just grab this. This will go here. And then we have our number cards. So our number cards, this is how this should look. So you will need 4 cards, okay? So the front and the back, front, back, front, back. So you'll need 2 of the same for 0, 1, 2, and 3. So you'll need 2 of those. And then you'll do a 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and then the back of the 8, 9 is blank. So again, all I did was print those out and backed them on a little piece of scrap cardstock and created my numbers, and make sure that they are upside down. So when you turn the 2 to a 3, the orientation works right. And again, these are just printouts. Okay, so I made those and put those in, but that is the orientation on how that is supposed to be. Okay, so again, I'm going to leave this out. Well, let me show you first real quick. So let's say that it is Sunday the 3rd of August, for example. We want to take this out, make it the 4th of August, and then just put it right behind, and then you'll follow along. 4th turns into the 5th, okay, and so on to the 6th and the 7th would be behind, and so on. So that is your perpetual calendar, okay? We've all seen these, and I know you've seen these, and they're really fun, and they're cute, and they're decorative, and they make a cute gift too, I think. So there's that. So again, screenshot this, and you can go ahead and know the orientation and how to put the cards, okay? So 4 cards, front, back, front, back, front, back, front, back, okay? And then this one you can screenshot. So the calendar names, so January through December. So you need the 3 at 5 by 5 1/4. And then the name cards where you have the day name, Sunday, Monday through Saturday. Front, back, you only need 2 of those. So I hope that makes sense on how I did that. Let me see. So I'm going to get this out of the way. And then what we're going to do is I'm going to show you this. So I briefly talked about it at the beginning of the video. The font on my silhouette, and I honestly have no idea how to pronounce that. Troemys? I don't know. Troemys. And I printed this out and I cut it out at 100 points. So on this one here, I printed it out. On this here, I just, I did it at 100 point font, and then I did a border around it. Okay. And then I just used the negative to go ahead and glue those down, okay? The font on the Cricut Nursery Rhymes is pretty similar to this one, and I think you can tell it really matches the font in the actual paper collection really well. So I thought it matched really good. But the Nursery Rhymes is a beautiful font that matches this. So when I printed them out, I just wanted to... I printed them out at the same size, and then I put boxes in gray around them and cut them at 1 3/8 inch tall. So that's how I got, you know, the size here for that. So that's what I did in my word processing program. Here I did it at 3/4 inches tall for the numbers. The same size font, but it, you know, with a 100 point font, it's, you know, it's smaller. It's the same size as like these letters here. So I just drew the boxes at 3/4 inches around those and cut them out. So these are 3/4 inches, and then I backed them on the pattern paper. I really hope that makes sense. I really debated on how to, I can't share the files for the cut files because of copyright reasons. I wasn't sure if I was going to be able to do any kind of a printout or anything. So I thought I would just tell you how I did it. You could pick any font you want. You could also stamp. You could also, you know, print your own, of course. You could use stickers that you can buy at a local store, however you want to do this. But those are just 2 options that I wanted to give you. So I'll let you guys, you know, do that part, you know, on your own. But for copyright issues, we decided that it probably was best that I didn't share, you know, like a cut file or anything like that. So I don't want to get in trouble. I really don't. But if you do have a silhouette, try that font. However you say it. And on Cricut, Nursery Rhymes is a real good one. So if you have one of those machines, you could go ahead and do this on your own. Again, 100 point font for this one on my silhouette, and it worked out really, really nicely. Let's see. I think next what we need to do is we need to, I'm going to put this back in here for just a second. Actually, no, I'm going to take them out. Okay. What we need to do, the last thing we need to do is put the back on. And when I do this, what I'm going to do is I'm going to grab a book of some sort. Last thing we need to do is put the back on with the pockets. So we have the clips in the way, so you're wondering how we're going to do this. So what I did was I just grabbed a book that would fit in between the clips, and then that just kind of gave me a little room to maneuver so I didn't you know, squish my clips and get them all messed up. So then basically all we're going to do is glue this to the back and we're done. So I'm going to glue this down. And this will hold, and again, this is optional. If you're not going to do the clusters, then you know, you don't need to do this. But I just think the clusters were beautiful, and I wanted to kind of decorate it up per month, and then also have a place to store them as well, which is pretty important. Okay. So this paper was cut at 11 7/8 by 11 7/8. So we should have a little bit of a border all the way around. Okay. And then I'm just going to go around the edges here. I'm trying to avoid the clips underneath, you know, as far as... And then you can press down on the book in the middle, and that'll help get everything done. So you'll have to kind of go around the edges. All right, but that is how I did that. So now it covers up all of the brads that we put in there, okay? Last thing is the hanger. So we're going to set some eyelets. So basically, I'm going to go right in the corner here. I'm going to go about a 1/2 inch in and a 1/2 inch up. And I'm going to put a pencil mark, and then that's where I'm going to set my eyelet. Right there. So 1/2 inch in, 1/2 inch up from the edge of the chipboard. So right there at the corner. And then you'll just basically tie you know, a piece of seam binding or ribbon through. Now this might be a little bit tight because we do have that extra layer of cardstock around the corner. That's okay. There we go. There we go. Get that out of the way. And then we'll set our eyelets and we will be done. So these eyelets that I have, they're big wide ones that I've had in my stash for years and years and years. You don't have to use, you know, big wide ones. You can use any eyelet that you have. You don't even have to use an eyelet if you don't want to. So I'm just going to set those. And there we go. Our project is done. Eyelets are set and we are done with the project. So you just need to thread your seam binding through, and I just thread it through the back and then tied a bow. So you can do it that way. You can do it any way you want. You can put hooks and then put the hooks, you know, like on your refrigerator and hang it from hooks if you want to. However you want to do that. But that is the project here that we have finished today. So I hope that this tutorial made sense to you, and if you have any questions, as always, please let me know. I'm more than happy to answer questions, and please enjoy the rest of the hop. Have fun. Be sure to like and subscribe, and leave a comment on every video so that you can be entered into a contest for a random drawing for really awesome prizes from Country Craft Creations. So again, thank you so much. This is Michelle with Creative Operation and Country Craft Creations. This is the November calendar hop, and I hope you enjoyed the tutorial. Thanks a lot for watching. Have a great day. Bye-bye.